Deep in a Wiltshire valley, the village of Castle Combe exists as a near-flawless preservation of the English past. Its appearance developed as a direct consequence of historical abandonment rather than modern preservation efforts. During the 15th century, the town flourished as an industrial hub for the weaving trade, divided between the yeomen on the hills and the men who make cloth in the valley. This prosperity ended when the Industrial Revolution shifted production to large-scale factories, leaving the local craftsmen without a market. The geography of the Cotswolds further isolated the village. Built in a narrow, cleft-like valley that drains the flat-topped range of limestone hills, there was simply no physical room for the town to expand or modernize. This isolation froze the town in time. As seen here, the village retains its original gable fronts and rubbly limestone cottages, with no new buildings added to the core since the 17th century. When a physical environment stops moving forward, the atmosphere begins to feel heavy with the weight of the centuries. It creates a space where the past seems to linger just out of sight. Looking down from Parsonage Woods, the village appears embosomed among steep slopes. This height makes the modern era feel entirely remote. Up on these ridges, visitors frequently report auditory anomalies, disembodied voices that mimic conversation, rhythmic ancient chanting, and sudden piercing screams. Deep in these woods, the lack of modern sensory markers causes the brain to search for a narrative. Devoid of city noise, the mind reaches for older archetypal stories of pagan ceremonies and hidden rituals. Descending from the woods brings us to the Bybrook River crossing, where a stone bridge leads into the oldest section of the village. Local records and structural evidence suggest this crossing has Roman origins, potentially dating back to a 5th century villa that once stood nearby. This historical layer manifests in local lore as a Roman centurion, said to still stand guard over the bridge after his legion abandoned Britain. In the fading winter light, the eye can easily play tricks. A person in a dark coat moving through these shadows can momentarily appear as a figure from another era, a phantom created by the architecture itself. These sightings represent the mind's attempt to process the deep, visible history that lines every street and riverbank in the village. Moving into the village streets, the dense rows of limestone cottages create a sense of deep medieval permanence. Every stone and window reflects a world built centuries ago. This environment sustains the legend of the ghostly miller, a figure dressed in traditional white clothing, seen hurrying home toward the old cottages. The miller's ghost is a direct echo of the village's industrial past. This mill, with its massive water wheel and brickwork, stands as a functional monument to the trade that once defined Castle Combe. Unlike the temporary feel of modern developments, these structures suggest an unyielding endurance. They're the physical remnants of lives spent in repetitive, rhythmic labor. This architecture acts as a mold for the imagination. Because the buildings haven't changed, visitors find themselves mentally recreating the people who once worked them, turning history into a felt presence. The center of this experience is St. Andrew's Church, where a Gothic tower overlooks a graveyard filled with weathered stone markers. The site's religious history stretches back to the 1200s, making it the most ancient, continuously used space in the valley. In this churchyard, witnesses describe a silent, pale young girl wandering between the graves, a quiet figure that seems to vanish into the gray stone. While the sightings capture the attention, a more significant mechanical detail is hidden within the church tower itself. This image shows the ancient church clock gears. Lacking a minute hand, it tracks time by the hour, announcing the day with a valley-wide ring. This reflects a pre-industrial world where measuring minutes was unnecessary. Life was governed by the sun. The missing minute hand mirrors the shift in perception that occurs when entering Castle Combe. The frantic pace of modern life is replaced by a slower, more deliberate sense of time. The hauntings of Castle Combe speak to a modern longing for a simpler existence. Entering a space where modernity has no footprint sets the imagination free, allowing the past to walk comfortably alongside us in the present.